That's
and then they
awesome.
pose us next to each other, and we're getting interviewed like a press conference, next. And they're going, dueling Barneys. I'm going, all right, Andy, you got to nip it in the bud. Back out. Certified lethal weapons. And he turns, he goes, I can't do it anymore. You do me better than me.
And we're back. Hey, everybody. It's the Love Master, Craig Shoemaker.
I'm still the love master. You're still the party starter.
That's right.
You got to go with it. I'm the love geezer and you're the party ender.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. It's funny because that's kind of the running joke with the family. Like 4th of July, they're all lighting off fireworks. We're out doing our thing out in the country, and I'm on private property and with sparklers and whatnot. Safe. And I know that there's about 8 people that are going to want to like family members. We're all going to want to take showers, get ready for bed. So I kind of slip away and I'm going back to the house to take the shower. And my wife was like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I just want to go take a shower, you guys, because I'm thinking I've seen enough fireworks,
Yeah.
And she's like, you're the party starter. You're no party starter. And they thought that was the funniest thing, that here I am, the party starter.
I get the same thing.
Yeah,
man. When you have a moniker that sticks, even being a comedian, I've been in these golf outings, and they think I'm going to be funny. They buy a foursome, and by about 4 holes later, they're going, "You're not funny at all. Where's the jokes?"
Yeah.
Love master.
Yeah, exactly. I can already picture different situations with the name The Love Master, and maybe the disappointed look on someone's face, like, you're the Love Master? What the hell?
I actually had it happen one night.
Really?
I came onto this woman many years ago. I came onto this woman in a bar. It was a long time ago, and I said, and she was with a guy, she says, I've never been with another guy. I go, oh yeah, baby. Come on, baby. I'll have you begging like PBS on a pledge drive, baby. And I was just doing the whole deal. Your knees will be knocking like a Jehovah's Witness on Red Bull, baby. So, it was on and on. I would love it. And she said, oh my God, I'm so turned on. And we get in the elevator, to the hotel. Press 12, fold it in half. The whole deal. And then I got into the room and I got out of character. Like, I was like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, welcome to my room. And I was done in like 5 seconds. I felt so bad. I always think to myself, the one time she cheated on her man, she sees me on TV or something going, oh God, there he is. He's no love master, believe me.
It's so funny, Craig, that that we've taken our showbiz to the internet. It's actually pretty cool. And what I'm thinking about is when you did a radio show and you had me on, it was great, man. You've had me on a couple times, but one of the times, I think my son, he's 13, he just turned 13. And at that time, he might have been, I don't know, like 3 or 4. I don't know how old he was, but you asked me a question. You go something about, are you your son's favorite comedian or something? I don't know what it was. Something to the effect of, you're like, yeah, wait till they discover other comedians, and it sucks when you're not their favorite comedian. And at that time, I was like, well, yeah, because you're all they know when they're really little. But yeah, now it's happened. Now he's like, he's loving these YouTube people. That he's laughing his butt off watching these YouTubers and stuff,
It's always a ventriloquist, which just makes us so happy.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I'm surrendering to it. I should bring her in here right now. I use my daughter. I pull her out of a suitcase and use her as my ventriloquist dummy. And I press her back every time I want her to open her mouth. And we have this whole little routine that we do, and it's so
that's hilarious.
Fun. Yeah, so I'm back to her favorite comedian. I just surpassed Jeff Dunham.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I know you have a few boys, and how many children do you have now?
I have 2 boys with my ex-wife, and then another son and a little daughter with my now wife.
Wow, that's so cool.
I'm sure she would love to be referred as now wife.
Yeah, my now wife. Yeah, no, she's cool, man. If she's with the Love Master,
She really is. I outpunted my coverage on this one. She's really, really cool. And she's from Japan, actually. She doesn't look it, but because she's half Japanese. And I actually went to meet her father
Oh,
to propose, you know, ask for her hand in marriage, like all formal, because they're very formal in Japan.
yeah.
And it was his wedding that we went over for in Hiroshima. There's this beautiful, you know, concert going on upstairs and overlooking all of Hiroshima. And I had to take a dump. And I'm the type, I go home, but I'm all the way in Hiroshima. I'm not, there's no option of going home.
You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, so, and I had never met the guy before. So I do my business. And here's the bad part. I look and there's a panel. It's all written in Japanese. It was a fancy toilet. So I had no idea what to press. I like press one button and it's like this geyser that goes, and then the next one, it's like a car. Now I'm in a car wash. This one's rotating around my butt, and now the water's filling up with the business. And I don't know which one the flush is. So I go, oh, this one looks good, and it's an emergency button. And this is my first impression. Is, by the way, I'm 6'2", so I'm literally big in Japan. So I'm already I'm standing out anyway, and you hear. And then I come out and there's these guys bowing at me. I'm going, no bow. I'm trying to do the universal signal, like, don't go in there. And then I've taken the door because I thought it was a laser. I thought it was a laser. So I'm like a bullfighter with the door, like opening and closing the door. And they're just staring at me going, you know, can we? And I said, hold on. I went up. I snuck in, you know, back to the wedding. I real quietly, because this is music beautiful. I go, honey, there's something really not beautiful downstairs. You got to go help me out because I cannot read these panels. But that was my first, you know, impression in Japan with all of the relatives. It didn't go over real well, but happily married now 14 years. Jeez, you know, we made it this far. So yeah,
that's great.
She's a hippie, which is a whole other world, man. I mean, she gets turned on by compost. I'm like, hey, honey, look, banana peel going in the right can. It's just it's a different world. And I dig it, man. She's like, you know, no diamonds, cubic zirconia. We're good to go.
That's great. That's great. You know, what's funny is I was talking to before we did this episode, I was on another podcast as a guest, and I was talking to two comedians that started after I started, and I was telling them what it was like when I started, because I started around 1989, 1990, and I said, you know, we didn't really do merch back then, at least I didn't. I hardly saw any comedians doing merch until, I don't know, like 95, 96, and then, but I wanted to know, what was it like when you started? Were you guys doing merchandise back then, or were there any comedians? No, it wasn't, right?
I started really early. I started junior year of high school, and
wow,
you know, I
that's beautiful.
I did it for beer. I mean, I was
yeah.
I would go Ava Tamini's backyard is where I started, and I went the actual first gig ever. I was going to be a lawyer. I worked as a clerk in a giant law firm in Philadelphia. And this guy, long fingernails, Jim Mardinley, and he had these fingernails. There was his guitar picks, and he goes, "Listen, my band is performing this weekend. You want to go up between sets of the band? You know, you're so funny in the lunchroom." And I said, "Sure." And I put together a little set. I didn't even know what a set was, you know. And I put it together. It was 114 degrees in West Philadelphia, all black crowd, Sandy's Supper Club, and I got like maybe 1.5 laughs, and it was literally like a crack pipe. You know, I was dead on hooked. It was just I did stupid, you know, impressions, and you know, of I'll tell you how long ago it was. I was doing I was doing Ronald Reagan impressions. So
dude, that's hilarious. I was doing Ronald Reagan also, but you were probably doing him as Ronald Reagan as a governor.
No. He was president. He was
wow.
Yeah, I mean, but I did like celebrity smoking pot.
I think I remember seeing you on TV. Didn't you do the thing about John Boy with the mole?
Oh my God, yeah.
I think I saw that I think I saw it on cable back in the day.
And now I'm John Mann. I can't even pass it John Boy anymore, you know. But yeah, I used to look like John Boy Walton. Everyone said that was my one prop. I was never a prop. And I would have this everywhere I go to the owner of the club. Where I go, I need like a magazine or something that has a black cover or something. You know, they go, what? Yeah. What? And so you see all these magazines all over the country with this hole cut out of it, so I could tape this black mole onto my face. I'd keep it in my pocket. I go, hey, hey, John boy, make me laugh. And I'd put the thing on, turn around, and be, he looks just like him. And
that's funny.
that was one of my first.
I don't know why I thought that was a coaster. I thought maybe it was a coaster from a table or an ashtray or something. But
I've used quite a few things, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Remember when they used to have ashtrays at comedy clubs? I mean,
it's so odd to me. I walked into someone's house. It's just so foreign, and they were smoking. And I'm not like anti-smoker. As a matter of fact, I even smoke cigarettes now and then. But it was the most strange thing, and yet I lived with that growing up. I mean, it was just a part of it. You smoked on airplanes. They had a smoking section. My mom doesn't smoke, but she would always sit in the smoking section. She says, the most interesting people are smokers. Non-smokers are boring. So she has the weirdest quirks. The other thing she would do is she would go work downtown and in a law firm also. And they'd give samples out of cigarettes on the streets. And she'd come up with these little sample packs of Virginia Slims 101s or whatever. And she'd go, you're being obnoxious. She was a single mom, so she had no, dad to punish me. Her punishment to me, she goes, I'm lighting up. You're going to kill your mother. If you keep on being, I'm lighting up. And she would put the cigarette and she would flick it. She'd go, okay, go ahead. You're giving me cancer if you don't stop. That was her way of dealing with me. Meanwhile, it just made me funnier and laugh more.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was thinking about, like, I call it the cigarette lighter, like in the car, but probably the kids now, they probably think it's the cell phone charger.
Of course it is.
Hole or whatever they would call it, But
it's so foreign to them, but what's really strange about it is we adapted to it so much. My grandmother's house was just filled with smoke all the time, and I used to put loud loads in her cigarettes. It was so funny. These little splinters of gunpowder. It was a riot. Before they were banned. Meanwhile, you can have an assault rifle, but you can't have loud loads anymore. So
I don't even know what that is, but
there's little splinters of gunpowder. And you would take them and you would put them in the cigarette. And what I would do is I'd take a pin, so I'd put them way down so she didn't know, because she would search. She was on to me. And she'd be smoking. My grandma, she's sitting there, all of a sudden, bam! And just explodes with like, and she's pulling out, pieces of tobacco out of her eyebrows. And she's sitting there with this, but she was such a smoker, she would just light up this fringed cigarette.
That's hilarious.
I was with her on her day of her death. I got a room with her at hospice care, and sure enough, she goes, come on, let's go smoke a cigarette. And what a visual this was. My grandmother, first one I ever smoked pot with is my grandmother. I'm out there having a cigarette with her at this hospice thing, and her whole skirt came up over her. So that's my last visual of my grandmother, is the naked skeletal grandmother. But she kept smoking underneath that robe.
It's hilarious.
Oh yeah, she's right to the end. We just gave up on trying to get her to quit, but I used to do those loud loads, and man, that was great humor when you're a kid. You just like that basic humor is how we started.
You know what? I just remember like it's funny just thinking like how quickly everything's changing. I'm really happy with right now. Like, we have the cameras, we got microphones. We're not, we can't go out for the time being, but we're still able to express ourselves and keep it going. I'm not really touring right now. I don't know if you are, but it's still a way that we can communicate. And there is something nice about that. I mean, I'm thinking about how things have, like I was trying to tell my son about lawn darts. Like that was a real thing. Yeah. I don't know when they banned it, but remember that used to be a thing. Like there was a little bit more, there was danger when I grew up, and I think you're a little bit older than I am. There was even more danger when you grew up, like
we had something called clackers. I don't know if you ever had those. There was these they're like almost glass plastic, so they're on strings. You would go, you would click them.
Oh wow!
And so hold on.
Would it go like this? Was it like?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that?
It's like that, okay. But you would go, and sure enough, one shatters, and it ruins it for everybody. That was the end of clackers. They were so popular. And then those were banned. Lawn darts were banned. All these kid things. Listen, I still have. I'll go get it for you right now if you want to see. I have a Daisy rifle.
Oh, that's cool.
BB gun from like way before I was born, and it still works. I've got a pesky squirrel, and I chase him off with a BB.
Yeah,
BB gun.
I remember like BB guns and pellet guns. I don't know if it's the same thing, but I used to hear about it. And like I remember in my Sunday school class, like some of the older kids, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a BB gun war," and I never did it, but they were like, they talk about how like you couldn't. They're like, "Don't wear your thin 501 jeans because you'll feel the sting of the BB." They're like, "You got to wear the like a thicker denim," you know?
Oh yeah, you had to. I mean, you had to have your gear on, but it was.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I do it in my act. I talk about it in my act, and I think we just have gone too far because, I have no idea how they would survive if there was like an earthquake or something. I don't know about you, but I knew you had to learn basics. Digging holes or whatever it is, like work, like real work. I told my kid yesterday, I said, "Come on, I'm going to teach you how to wrestle." He goes, "Why do I need to know how to wrestle?" I go, because you're going to get in a fight someday. He goes, "I've never even seen a fight." He's 11 years old, never even seen a fight. And it's just so strange. I go, but you'll be you're going to win every fight. He goes, "I'll never be in a fight." I go, "You're going to be in a fight." I'm like trying to convince him to go get his ass kicked or go kick someone's ass because that's going to make him more into a man. They're just different now. They don't make fun of each other. They,
I think they probably do it online or something, right? Don't they all like, or
they do a bit of that actually. They do, but it's a different kind of bullying. But there's nothing like physical about it. It's not face to face. And I don't know if you had this growing up, but we would literally say, "I call you out." Did you ever have that? And you called where the spot was. It was like signing up for a set in comedy.
3:00 after school. I'll meet you by the boys' backstop at the baseball field or whatever. Exactly. Yeah, the backfield. Yeah.
And then you get
the backstop at the baseball field. Yeah. That's where the fights would happen.
And then you always get a gang of guys like your buddies to go, so they would stop it before it started.
Yeah, dude, I remember that. Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah, 9th grade that happened to me. I was on the wrestling team, and I'd only wrestled 2 years. In fact, the second year it disbanded because it was down to just 5 wrestlers. Wow. Yeah, the coach was like, but I remember this guy, that's where the rooster joke came from. He kept calling me Rooster because I had the bright red hair. And he's like, "Hey, Rooster." And I had just seen Rocky 3 and I was all pumped up and I was like, I'm going to fight this guy because he keeps making fun of me and he won't stop. Yeah. So I challenged him to a fight. And I remember doing warm-ups and stuff before that. Like, that's what we did in wrestling. And, and of course, there was a big group of guys, and
that got a cut man in the corner.
Yeah, that particular school was right by the projects, and I remember it was just him and his buddy, and they were walking away, and so I remember the further they walked away, the more brave I got because I'm like, well, he's walking away, and I'm like, "That's right, yeah." I'm like, yeah, whatever. I remember thinking I was kind of doing like a Mr. T impression, like, "You ain't nothing. That's right. You better walk away." And Craig, the scary part is he was actually walking toward, I guess, his uncle, and his uncle was like a mechanic, and he had these coveralls. And because I remember seeing the uncle, or I found out later, and then now there's 3 of them coming back. There's the 2 kids my age, and then the uncle, which was the grown man, coveralls, cigarette. And all the kids around me were like, "He's coming back. He's coming back. Oh shit, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. He's coming back." And that was when I was like, I got super nervous, like, And then I remember the uncle comes up, and it was like a scene out of a movie. He takes the cigarette down. He goes, "Which one of y'all kids trying to fight my nephew?" And then all the kids in the circle kind of like backed away, and they're like pointing at me, and I was like, "Oh, they would be me." And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And he goes, and I love that he said this. He goes, "Y'all better." He goes, "I'll never forget. It's ingrained in my brain." He goes, "Y'all better shake hands and make up, or I'll make y'all fight until I see blood." Oh, and I swear that couldn't have came out faster. Like, I extended my hand. The kid's name, his name was Larry. He put his hand out, and we shook hands. And I was like, "Look, man, I just don't want to be made fun of." And and the guy was like, "Oh man." And actually, after that, we became friends. Wow. Like, it was a really strange day. I will say that. It's so weird, right?
It's so funny you say. I literally I tell my kids bedtime stories about when I was growing up. I mean,
oh, it's cool.
So that they get to know who I was, and a lot of them, you know, most stories end in happily ever after. My stories end in, and then the cops came. Like,
good night, lights out.
oh yeah, and it's actually true. Arrested a lot, no father, and you know, very poor, and we just I would just get into so much trouble, and my kids hear these stories, and it's so foreign to them to think, well, to think that I'm this kid at one time, but also to think about, you know, police and fighting and violence. It's just so out of their realm of thinking, you know. Now, of course, I do live in a suburb now, which, you know, but it also says a lot of our society. You know, we make fun of it and stuff, that, you know, the kids that get too many trophies and all that, which I do not believe in. I do believe, but there's like some middle ground that needs to happen. You don't need to, I don't know about you. My wife taught me no corporal punishment. And I have learned, like, my temptation when the first child was born is like, yeah, you give them a little smack. You know, they got to learn a lesson. I learned, do not need to do it. Absolutely don't need it. Way more effective if you don't, because you're literally saying to them, you know, don't be violent.
Right.
As you're beating their ass, you go, don't be violent. And it's just such a mixed message. I'm just so surprised at how, you know, evolved. They're actually more evolved than we were. I mean, it's an evolutionary process. And, you know, my son in, I think it was 3rd grade, he had during the summer, one of his friends, his best girlfriend, did a transition to a boy. And
wow,
like that's ridiculous to me, you know.
Yeah, when we were, because I think we had tomboys, but we didn't have. It was, but it's
nobody transitioning, and all of a sudden this gender assignment. My son's friend now this is how cool he is. He's the coolest kid. This one in particular, they assigned this child to hang with my son Jackson, because and I always try to get it at him. I'm going, hey, what's it like? You know, I'm like trying to get him to diss.
Yeah.
No difference. That's how he acts. Just no difference. Yeah, it's cool. As a matter of fact, doesn't play with this former girl that's now a boy, because he identifies as, but he goes, I said, well, why don't you guys hang? And he goes, he plays with girls. And he only liked playing with the girl when the girl was what we would call a tomboy, doing boy games, which is what he wants to do, you know? So I just think, you know, as much as sometimes we look at the future for the kids and go, oh my God, is this bleak? We have to remember that our parents also thought the same things, you know, when whatever was going on at the time, it always seems at its bleakest. You know, I was born, you know, Vietnam War was, you know, coming to a close, but still, you know, that was going on. It looks like, you know, Kent State or whatever's going on.
Right.
It's just, it's all relative to the time. You just have to hope that we do evolve, and do the parents evolve enough to pass that on to the kids.
That's so cool, man. It's, you know, you're a good father. You have a thing. Was it a movie or was it a book? It was something that had the word dad in it. I remember seeing it.
2 of them. It's called What You Have Now, What Your Daddy Had Then. What You Have Now, What Your Mommy Had Then. And it's all about, my son was in the attic. He goes, and he discovers all these things. He goes, what the hell? What is this, Dad? And I go, well, things are different. Like, you have organic fruit juice smoothies. Daddy had Tang. We didn't. You know, you have sushi. Daddy had fish sticks. It was And by the way, there wasn't one piece of fish in them. There was like Mrs. Paul's. I think they fried bread and waved a fish around it. That was about the only fish you got. Put tartar sauce on it. You know.
That actually sounds really good. You know, there's certain. You know, what's funny is I think there's definitely like, I'm closer to your age and your memories than I am to what's happening now, because I don't think I had sushi until. I don't even remember when I had sushi, but it was definitely when I was a grown up. I didn't have it as a kid.
No.
There's certain things. Now, I grew up in Fresno, California, so it's probably different than Philadelphia. Philly seems like it's big. I know it's a big city and a lot more life experience. Like, there's certain things I didn't even know until I got a little older. Same thing with you, or did you?
No, I remember distinctly. I was with comedians when I had sushi. I was taught how to have the sushi. Actually, here you do this, and I remember it was Dave Hawthorne. I was in a I was in an improv group in Long Island. 19 years old. Me and Rosie O'Donnell. We started together.
Oh.
Yeah, she was in the group, and she was there, and Dave Hawthorne, and a couple others. We rehearsed, went out for this thing called sushi. It's like,
what is that?
Oh, yeah. He was so proud. He just is the greatest. And by the way, I am completely hooked on sushi. I make my own now.
Oh, wow.
Just like
really?
just like the joints in the day. Now I roll my own sushi. Things that I've definitely become an adult, and I'm really good at rolling.
Oh God! Who wants a piece of sushi?
Yeah, I'm dealing sushi now. God, oh my God! I think about things have changed so much. I remember pulling all-nighters. Now my all-nighter is if I don't have to get up to pee. If I can make it a whole night without peeing, that's a celebration. That's a party now.
Well, I'll tell you, man. I do a 3-hour drive, and I can't go from point A to point B without, because I don't know if it's because I'm drinking the water and the coffee and the drive-in. I mean, I'm definitely stopping. I guess if I had to, because I've flown without stopping to use a restroom or getting up to use a restroom, but I said stopping, like the plane's gonna land so I could pee. That would be weird. But
you pull the string.
Yeah.
I gotta go pee. But I'm actually flying out tomorrow, and flying really sucks right now. I mean, I do not want to wear a mask for 6-hour flight.
I got, thank God, I had a corporate gig about little over a month ago, and I had to fly to Denver, and it was strange to wear a mask, but you know what though, like I was able to, like in the airport, especially when I wasn't around people, you could kind of push it down to where you could breathe a little bit better. And it's weird. There's these weird little loopholes. Like if you're drinking like coffee or something, you don't have to wear the mask. And my friend,
I worked that loophole.
Okay.
This woman next to me, I only fly first class now because I'm going to have minimal people. I'll spend the money if I have to. So tomorrow I'm doing this mint service where you can lie out and you have a little cubby hole. Yeah. But she says to me, put a mask on. I go, I'm eating, So I extend my eating for hours. I keep little pieces of food right there. So if she looks at me with any disdain, I just pop. I just pop some more of that food in there. I say, I'm eating it. So I'm a slow eater. I have to chew my food.
Yeah, that's what my buddy does. He goes, I got a trick. He acted like it was I go, what is it? And he said he milks it. He eats an apple and he just works that apple the whole flight. But I'm like, apple actually turns brown after a while, so
it doesn't matter. To put that damn mask on the whole time. I mean, you're breathing in your own carbon dioxide for 6 hours. I mean, it doesn't.
Just saying it makes it hard to breathe. Oh, I gotta breathe. Yeah, how about,
man? I mean, the whole thing is just. I mean, what a pivot we're doing right now. I call it we're in a spiritual rebooty call. That's what I believe. We're rebooting right now, and everybody's got to reboot and reassess, refresh, and all of that. And I've been off in all different directions now with this, and actually kind of happy about it. I'm teaching a course now.
What are you teaching? What is it?
Well, it's about it's called Enlightened Up, and it's all about a shift. That we're in a shift here. I really believe that, and I give people some tools and skills and experiences I've had in shifting my life from, really I came from very difficult circumstance. My dad left when I was born. I'm like, something I said, he's gone. But, I mean. And from that point forward, it was, he became a cult leader, and I was kidnapped by a serial pedophile when I was 13. And, I lived in 13 homes by the time I was in high school. Just like this real kind of like just this disarray and chaos and lack of self. And that had to be built and built and built. And then I chose comedy. That'll build your self-esteem.
I need some stability. No. Yeah.
It's the worst choice you could possibly make if you want to build your self-esteem. But it's something I committed to it, and it gave me some purpose. And now the purpose has shifted to literally helping people heal through laughter. I have an organization called Laughter Heals. And the one disappointment to me is how comedians are so discounted. I was saying to someone today, there's no Oscar for comedy, or
I know.
there's no reviews. The only time I ever got reviewed is when I opened for a band, and I would be the other guy that they would review. It's so disrespected. We're the court jesters, and we're also the first that they cancel these days. I mean, the first thing, they're after you if you uncover a curtain that they don't want to see, or if you say something they deem to be inappropriate. So it needs to be inappropriate for everyone. So the cancel comes. So it's actually, and I've been at this for decades, it's at the worst point it's ever been is comedy right now. And it's very sad to me. And I really have put a lot of passion into it. But
it's true. Like they were like we're non-essential, and they're trying to do comedy. I know, and they're trying to do comedy like in parking lots. Like they were gonna. I guess they got the okay, and then they shut it down at the Comedy Store, like the health department or whatever. They shut it down after they sold tickets. I mean,
and we are essential workers, because if laughter is the best medicine, then we should be on the front lines, because it builds immune system and stress is relieved. It's exactly what we do need. And yet our society that has built, we are built on toxins. We are built on this, on fumes, and there's nothing substantial. And laughter truly is a grounding principle. It's such a way to ground yourself. It's the best pathway to yourself, to love, to tolerance, to all those things. It just relieves you of all of that bad messaging. But that's not what they want. The money people don't. There's no laughter lobby in Washington.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's just not a lot of money.
I mean, you've been working on this for a while. I remember Laughter Heals, like in the early 2000s. And I remember you even had a store on Ventura, and you were like, "Hey, comics, if you have any merch, And then I want to say that didn't you somehow would get the stuff to the people in the hospitals, because they would make they're not feeling well, and they're like, I'm just going to watch comedy movies, listen to comedy CDs, just laugh, and just
we had laughter baskets with chattering teeth, and funny cards and all sorts of merchandise we got from comedians and things that we used to do.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you this? There's something I want to ask you, and I when this thing first went down, it was. Back in March, I was kind of like, there was parts of me that sometimes I would feel like, I'm okay with this. This is, and there's other days I'd get really down. And I got to tell you, what brought me happiness was laughter. And I'm telling you, where I went to, and I want to ask you, when it comes to not the business end of stand-up and not that, but when you just want to go to that happy place, for me, I was like, I'm going to go back and listen to some of the stuff that I grew up on. And I went back and I listened to some of the old Dr. Demento shows. I listened to some old Weird Al Yankovic. I listened to, and I can't remember his name right now, but Hello, Marta. Hello, Father. Here I am at Camp Granada. I can't remember his name, but gosh, but I was listening to.
That's not Bill Dana, is it? Is it Bill?
No, but it was somebody like that. It was an old school.
Yeah.
It was like, I got to Google it. Who's saying hello, mother, hello, father?
It was never gonna.
Hello, mother.
Alan.
A letter from camp was recorded by Alan Sherman.
Alan Sherman.
Yes, that's absolutely.
It was a lot of silly stuff like that. It just made me feel good, You know
what? It's funny you should say that. I actually watched with my family. Well, the 11-year-old and my wife.
Yeah.
We watched All in the Family. I found it on Crackle. I got to tell you, bro.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off. I mean, truly, I'm going, this is brilliant. First, I watched the documentary on Norman Lear. Brilliant man and an icon. But that show was so ahead of its time. But I didn't realize I'd have appreciation until I watched it this time. But here's the bummer. You ever do this? You turn everybody on. You go, oh, this is what come see what dad and see what your husband – see what your husband thinks is funny. And I'm and I look, and there's my wife texting.
I know.
I know you're not getting this. She goes, no, it's not my style. My 11-year-old has no clue.
Oh.
And by the way, they were using racist slurs in this show. It was so unbelievable how they presented it. But they were presenting the truth, and it's, it exists today. It's amazing. This show could be happening today because there's a million Archie Bunkers out there, and then there's the other side, the meatheads.
Yeah,
they're going at it with them. It is the most brilliant show. But my wife didn't get it, and the other time I was hanging out with, I don't want to name drop, but Cindy Crawford, right?
Nice.
And, this back in the day before she got married and everything. But so we
me, her, and this other friend of ours, this girl, we said, let's have a movie night. We're in our pajamas or whatever at Cindy's. And
No way. You saw Cindy Crawford in pajamas? Oh, wow. Hey, baby, I'm the love master.
Let me tell you a really quick story. You know Stanley Ullman? I don't know if you know him. He used to open for me.
Yeah.
Older guy, and we're doing a play
Tracy
together.
Ullman's brother, I think.
No relation.
Oh,
he's like this.
Okay.
He's bald, very Catskilly act. You know, he talks like this. He talks like Jackie Mason. You know, like this. I said, Stanley, I said, I'm not, being weird, but I said, your pants, do you have big balls? He goes, yes, I have big balls. If balls made a porno star, I'd be in porn. So anyway, jump cut to, I spent the weekend and with Cindy at this event, this Men Are From Mars event, right? And she leaves her camera in the car. So now we're driving down to Irvine, and I was with this date. I was with Heather, and her sister was in the back with Stanley. He's the opening act. And he goes, whose camera is this? And I go, oh, it's Cindy Crawford's. He goes, do you think Cindy would like a picture of my balls? And he reaches in, and the sister's screaming in the back, oh, put it away. He reaches, and like a forget me not bouquet, he takes a picture of his balls. And that was in the days where it was filmed. So Cindy had the film developed.
Yeah.
That was the last we ever spoke. But anyway, we were out and we went to Blockbuster and we got a movie that I was crazy about when I was a kid. Really funny. And I've had other people that verify this. It's called The Party with Peter Sellers. I don't know if you know it, but
I don't know it.
I said, oh my God, it's a classic. You're going to love it. And I sat there with the two of them. Not a single smile the entire night. I was so embarrassed. So now I'm laughing to myself. Then I'm laughing as they're not laughing. And it was just, I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but your taste is not someone else's taste. That's the thing with comedy. It's very subjective. But laughter is not subjective.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not, I think it's wonderful, Patch Adams, but a clown comes to my hospital room, I'm ripping out the tooth. It's not funny. Laughter is an act. So I take people through a guided laughitation. So if you can meditate, if you can breathe, you can laugh. And so my best friend, Michael Goldberg, he wrote Cool Runnings, Little Giants. We bonded through laughter, just like your best friends. That's what we did. And as a matter of fact, his daughter was conceived in laughter. We were filming the Love Master movie. His wife was ovulating. He did the Love Master. It's happened 5 different times.
Wow.
Conceived children after my show because laughter really does that.
That's awesome.
It's like a fertility clinic over here. So anyway, a year and a half after Kayla was born, he got brain cancer, and they said you have 3 months to live. And that was my literal ha-ha moment. I went, hey, I want my buddy to live, and I want his daughter to know him. And a bunch of us got together, and I started Laughter Heals, and I worked in a cancer facility doing these programs. He lived 15 years past that 3-month prognosis the doctors gave him because he had reason to live. If you don't have reason to live, that's why so many people are depressed right now. You need reason to live, and part of it is laughter. Laughter is only humans do it. So that's what I can't understand about how people diminish and demean laughter. It's so important to it. So it truly enriches our soul. It does all these things to our body and our consciousness. So anyway, on his deathbed in hospice, I visited him. And he was in a coma. It's a true story. We filmed it for the movie. And he's staring like in a coma, just staring. I said, Golds, I don't even know if you know I'm here. I said, what can I do for you? I mean, I just felt like I'd done everything. And I knew the jig was up at this point. I said, what could I do to help you? I said, you want me to jerk you off? I said, I've never done anybody but my own. You want me to give you a handy? He came out of a coma and he goes, ha ha ha. He gave one laugh. That was it. He died 2 days later, but I felt so good to give him 15 more years where his daughter and there wasn't a dry eye during that funeral, was not a dry eye when she said, now I knew who my dad was when he wasn't sick, because we all went up and talked about our dad. And it was so beautiful and how much joy he gave us and how much laughter he gave us. It truly bonds us like nothing else. And yet, I just think we need to focus more on finding laughter and not less of it.
Oh, I want to share this with the audience. Craig has done so much, and he's won awards, and he's one of the nicest guys. He'll reach out to me, and you've hired me before, we've hung before, you've given me just little pep talks here and there, and I remember there was a time when you you retired from comedy. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened with that, but I want to say this. I remember you were performing in San Antonio, Texas. It might've been at the Laugh Out Loud, that giant little, like a mini theater. And a lady that hired me before, she's a comedy promoter, and she sends me a message. She goes, I know he's retiring, but he is so funny and he got a standing ovation, and it's a shame if he does retire. And I know, I don't know if I told you that before, but I just wanted to tell you that was, I mean, your comedy touches people, you know, and she was blown away that you would even, you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I do go through periods where I need to hear that, to tell you the truth, from a fellow comic who I respect. I remember when you were on my podcast, a big memory I have of you is how revealing you were. And I love that. And I like that about comedians. They're my favorite comedians. You really got raw. I remember the stories you were telling about growing up, and, you know, I don't know if your audience, they probably do, but know the deep, you know, richness of your life, you know, to being a comedian, because most of us come from pain. I don't think Seinfeld did on Long Island, but still, most comics do come,
right. It's true.
Come from that pain. And I so admired that, but I really appreciate that, because I find that it's a weird thing, but I'll admit it anyway. I find that when people don't like someone, it's usually someone that they're like, you know, like it's amazing to me. So like, you're a white guy, right? But a lot of white comics have resented me through the years, and they just have not good things to say. And I just get this vibe, and it makes me not want to go to comedy clubs. I don't like that. I like the community. I believe we should all be a community, help one another. Like you were just saying, I mentor a lot of people. But it's funny that the people who do what you just did and take the time to compliment or appreciate, it's actually mostly black guys. You know, I was shocked one time. I never knew Cat Williams. I go, hey,
he's great.
And I go, hey, my name's Craig. He goes, I know who you are. He goes, I used to be in the back room in Sacramento. You were like an idol to me and Dan Whitney. And that's Larry the Cable Guy, by the way. And they would watch me from the back, you know, like kind of like this trailblazer. And I've had a bunch of people that say that, you know, recently. I have to say, I love it. I mean, it's not in an ego sense. It makes it, you know, makes me realize that you know, I'm not in the hot years of my career at this point, and never will be again, because it's just not how it operates right now. And I'm a storyteller. That's a dying art. And, you know, people want the young and the hot and all that. They don't want the married guy with 4 kids. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You know, I'm just not going to be hot again, and I'm okay with not being hot again. I wish I was famous enough to be on The Masked Singer. My kids would be very happy and very proud. But I actually practice with a mask on, you know, just in case I do get a little more famous. Maybe they'll see, hey, you're on Darren Carter's show. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Here he is.
It's the dinosaur. You know, so, and all those reasons for doing comedy, getting back at people, that's why I retired, is they all were gone. All of those resentments, the girls who wouldn't go to the prom with me. Oh, Dad, will you look at me? Mom, will you tell me you love me? All done.
And I feel like that probably is the beginning of it, the career or the comedy. And then there comes a time where you're like, you know, maybe you get, for me, I got a little older. You start getting in your 30s and 40s. You're like, you know, then that kind of goes away. Then it becomes a business. And also you do it for other reasons. Like you said, you do it for unselfish reasons, because you're like, wow, laughter does heal. Laughter heals. Laughter is the best medicine. And you get those messages where people might, you know, nowadays they can send you an email or direct message or something where, you know, and that's why I love podcasting, because I get these messages where people are like, hey man, I was having a really bad day, and I put on, and you're like, yeah, even if it's just one message that someone sends you, you're like, thank you, you know, it's the best. It's like a real connection with humanity, you know?
If that's, by the way, it's one of the 2 reasons I would like to be famous. It's ego's out, agenda is out. I want it to help people financially, you know, if I can help people financially. And if I'm famous enough to help more people with, just like today, a woman reached out. She said, my sister's, you know, and I went to her Facebook page. I said, what's her name on Facebook? And my friends with her. And I posted this, you know, love and light to you. I hope you get through this and all this. And I know that, you know, she thinks I'm famous. It doesn't matter if other people don't. And she was really thrilled by it. And I felt so happy to be able to have that opportunity to give somebody a lift, give somebody a smile. And that, it sounds like a lot of comics are sarcastic. They go, oh, it's a bunch of bullshit. No, it's not. That's your bullshit. You can project that on all you want. I truly feel my best when I'm of service to people. And even if it's something simple, if it's one-on-one, I surprised a fan, and it was so funny. It was a few weeks ago. Her sister flew me in to Philadelphia.
Wow.
And she's on stage in front of all these people that didn't really know her because she got engaged to the guy. They were like at a party that they didn't even it wasn't even their party. So she's on stage with a microphone saying, we're supposed to be in Nyack seeing this comedian. He's my favorite, my sister and I, but he says he needs a restraining order, and I'm standing behind her as she's doing this announcement. And I sat back there as she's going on and on about me. Everybody else, I'm going, it's me, folks, that she's talking about, because I figured they didn't know who it was. And to be able to see her face. She goes a giant monologue. And we've been fans of his, and we're his stalkers. He calls us his stalkers. And then finally I go up in front of her, and she goes, ah! And it was just... It was worth flying 3,000 miles, to give somebody that kind of joy, a memory. That's the thing, is we create memories. We have memes that we're creating for people. And quoting jokes. And I mean, I get quoted all the time. It's amazing to me.
As we're winding down, I got to ask you before we go, because I'd love to have you back. One of you're just, I don't really do impressions. The one that stuck is sometimes I'll do the Snoop Dogg, but I don't really, I'm not even a Snoop Dogg. I don't really even listen to that kind of music anymore, but occasionally I know I'm going to get the laugh for the most part, if it's an older crowd. That's so weird, right? That I'm doing Snoop Dogg for an older crowd. But if they're in their 20s, they're like, what are you doing, guy? But they're,
I had to drop all my impressions because of it.
I was going to say like for years, like that Barney Fife, and that's still on the air. And did you ever get a chance to meet Don Knotts? Did you ever meet him? I think you have.
Oh, you'll love this story. I just, it's so strange. As a matter of fact, I'll just tell you, I'll back the story up. And it's my first time on television was I won America's Funniest People, $10,000 for
amazing
Barney Fife fighting the Cowardly Lion. Right. So that's my first time in LA. Put him up. All right. So I'm doing that. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Next time on TV.
That's great.
Next time on TV, I'm guest starring on Matlock, which is Andy Griffith, and Don Knotts is on the show. So the next time I'm back, one of my big times, I did have a nice little spotlight and came onto the scene. HBO Comic Relief, Whoopi got me on, and she's amazing. And so I was like kind of a star that night. It was like my welcoming. It was in 1996, 97. And they take me to a press release. And he was on the show because he was on the Steve Allen show. They were doing in honor of the Steve Allen show. And people said they watched him watch me live backstage, looking at the monitor, and Steve Allen's standing there. And he's old, and he turns to Steve. He goes, he does me pretty good, doesn't he, Steve? So,
That's awesome.
And then they pose us next to each other, and we're getting interviewed like a press conference, next. And they're going, dueling Barneys. I'm going, all right, Andy, you got to nip it in the bud. Back out. Certified lethal weapons. And he turns, he goes, I can't do it anymore. You do me better than me.
That's so cool.
And here's where it comes full circle. The movie Pleasantville, he plays the TV repairman. And he was sick, and I replaced his voice for most of the movie, is me playing him as an old guy. So if you watch the movie, him circling the apple in the telestrator, that's me going, boom, what do they call that right there? The forbidden fruit here in Pleasantville. I'm your TV repairman. And now the full circle, I got a call a few years ago, from his daughter, Karen Knotts. She went through my agent, found me. She says, I'm writing a book about my dad called Tied Up in Knots, and you were his favorite all-time comedian. And and I got to know him a little bit, and she said, I want you in the book. So I'm in the book with like Jim Carrey and Ron Howard. So, it was pretty cool, So,
that's so cool.
I mean, from watching him as a kid, thinking he's my uncle and Andy's my dad, because I didn't have any men in my life. On the UHF, I don't know if you know what UHF is. But
yeah.
The other little knob, and Black and White, Home from School reruns. and then all the way to I'm his favorite comedian. You know, sometimes those are the best rewards.
Yeah, it's a great story, man. You know, I was going to tell you one time, because, you know, we live in Burbank, and there was a guy that used to walk around here, and he used to look a lot like Don Knotts. He had the hat and the scarf, and he was just this old guy walking. And I remember one time I had my wife circling the block. I go around the block. I think it's Don Knotts. And it wasn't Don Knotts, but I swear to God, I was like, is that Don Knotts? Like, I just wanted to, you know, like see, you know, I remember when I first moved to LA, I'd see a lot of, I remember Little Richard, I believe he used to live next to the Comedy Store at that hotel.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just kind of took some of it for granted. You know, you'd be like, oh, they say Jonathan Winters hangs out in Toluca Lake and if I could go back in time and just be like, Darren, don't take this for granted. Go, if you know, just tell somebody how much they mean to you, you know, like, I don't know.
Well,
you know,
and by the way, just like I was saying that, you know, Cat Williams saying that to me, a number of people have done that. And, you know, it's so appreciated. I mean, because it's a true connection, especially with your peers. When I first got here in 1988, I was invited to, I don't know if you remember Bert Convey, his daughter, Jennifer Convey, is one of my first friends. And it was funny because they were wealthy, Beverly Hills. I'm a poor kid from Philly. And the World Series tickets that he gave his daughter were sitting in the counter, but we couldn't get in. It was locked. I said, all right, I'm going to have to admit this. I said, I've been a robber in my life, Jennifer. I'm going to go get those tickets. And I got the tickets. And we watched the World Series. And you know what it was? It was the greatest World Series in history, Kirk Gibson's home run. And talk about life for granted. I mean, I was sitting next to you could probably guess them, four of the greatest legends in history of comedy and performing arts.
Wow.
So in the booth was Don Rickles, Bob Newhart, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau.
Wow.
So when he hits the home run, I am screaming, jumping. Imagine I'm this kid who just moved out here, jumping up and down, hugging you know, Don Rickles, and we're screaming with each other. I was celebrating this unbelievable home run, and I saw them years and years later. It was Rickles and Newhart were having dinner at not Ruth's Chris, but Mastro's. And I had to go up to them. I said, I said, I'm a comic. And they said, you know, and I said, and they were so touched.
That's cool.
How much that meant to me, that I was celebrating with two of the greatest legends of all time. And they just sat there with their wives, real humble, and just, thank you so much for coming up. You know, I wasn't bothering them or anything. I just let them know how much that touched me, and what a memory. That's just like you and that fight in the playground.
Exactly. I know. It's ingrained in your brain. But Craig, thank you so much for shake hands or find you. Where can people find you? Where can they see you? What would you like to?
You know, CraigShoemaker.com usually says what I'm up to. You know, I'm just up to a lot of stuff, and I'm producing a lot of film and television right now. I'm very happy about that. We have a great show called Comedy Kitchen, if you want to check that. There's a podcast, and the other show comes out on Amazon Prime. It's a role reversal. I teach famous chefs how to do comedy. My friend Tony teaches famous comedians how to do a dish for the judges.
Nice.
It's really fun. But a whole bunch of stuff. Just go to CraigShoemaker.com. Sign up for my course. I'm very excited about that. It starts really soon. When does this come out?
It's going to come out this week for sure. Yeah, it'll come out this week. Yep.
Yeah, it's called Enlightened Up. If you go to my website, we'll send you there, and, you know, sign up. And it's a 4-week course. It's very personal, and I help people, you know, get better. My podcast is called Can I Help You? I love helping people. I'm not going to hold on to this shit. I want to share it. You know what I mean?
Man.
So I had fun sharing with you tonight, bro. I'm so happy we got to connect.
Thank you. And I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming on, and please come back.
Oh, tomorrow. Well, I got a fly.
Yeah. Enjoy that apple on the flight or whatever. Slow eater.
Along with spaghetti. Oh, yeah. All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. See you, man.
We're done with this interview.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to The Pocket Party.